And we're right now in Zurich, Switzerland, after some Italian food and some limoncellos. So excuse our mistakes today. But anyway, we're going to be talking about this camera because we've been shooting this camera day in, day out. And otherwise, I wouldn't make a video of a camera that brand new, but I owned the Mark II for quite so many years. And this camera is no different. So hold that thought because I think the video is going to be based on that. The Mark II versus the Mark III, a camera that right now you can get for about $2,000 versus this camera that it cost me here, thankfully, $4,800. But in the United States, it's going to cost you about $5,100 plus shipping, plus tax, plus whatever else Trump wants to charge you. So let's talk about this camera because it's very interesting. So today I've been shooting with this camera. We've done everything. We've done portrait, we've done street photography mostly, and we even shot with flash. So some of the thoughts that I have to share about this camera is that after seeing a lot of videos, and actually, why don't we walk? So after seeing a lot of videos, I wanted to feel with my own eye if this camera was as bad as everybody on the internet said it was. And I don't know if these people have used this camera, but I have, and I used the Mark II for many years, like I mentioned before, and I carry daily. And this camera has been shot. Probably we have already 3,000 shots on this guy. Yeah, we shot a lot. It's a really good camera. It's a camera that is worth $5,000, $5,100. I think that is going to be the main question, right? Because this camera is very much what the Mark II was, with some enhancements and with some things actually taken out. One of the main things that today I wish this camera had was going to be the tail screen. And you guys know, if you see my work, I shoot like this. I go down and shoot like this. One of the reasons why I like the Leica Q3 and the Q343 is because of that tail screen and the SO3 model, right? But when I shoot with my own camera, I go down. And with this one, I feel kind of like shooting with my own because my kit is actually a Leica M11 monochrome with a 35mm Summichrome. And guess what we have right here? We have a 35mm with an aperture and f2, and I could switch this camera to also shoot black and white. Let's go, because it's raining. So the approach of photography with this camera was very much like shooting. Oh, look at those people with the umbrellas. Let's see what this camera does. Okay. Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. All right, so one of the things, and again, this actually reminds me that we need to talk about this. This camera performs really good when it comes to low light. It performs better than the Leica Q3 in low light, and it snaps. You know, it has to be really, really dark for this camera to hesitate. Now, the one thing that I want to talk about also is going to be eye autofocus. Okay, the eye autofocus. It's not on par as a proper G Master lens with a proper Sony body, like for example, A7C Mark II, A7CR or A7 IV or one of those cameras. It's not going to be there, you know. We're still talking about with a lens that it was designed probably 12 years ago, even more, and it still has those stepper motors rather than the ultrasonic motor or supersonic motors that the G Master used. And let's see if we can capture this girl right here. Boom. Yeah. So it just snaps. You know, it's really hard to miss a shot, but it's very easy to miss a shot, or somewhat easy if you rely on autofocus because the motors are not as fast. And that's what I noticed today, you know. Sony could have revamped this lens. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, Sony doesn't use Zeiss lenses anymore. They design their own lenses. And this is when Sony used to, we're gonna actually park here and take some cool shots. I like this, the reflection, look at the floor and all that stuff. Sony does not make, oh, this is a good one. Beautiful. So Sony right now make their own lenses. Let's see if they are in focus. And like I mentioned to you guys, yeah, she's in focus. Yeah, so low light performance, when it comes to focusing, that's pretty good. So what I was saying is that Sony does not rely on Zeiss anymore. They make their own lenses, but for some reason they decided to use this lens that honestly could have used some revamping. Now, does it bother me for the way I shoot? No, it doesn't, because I use manual lenses, so the fact that I have autofocus to me is really good. But for those that rely on something that has to be fast, those that shoot sport, those that shoot wildlife photography, and the first thing they do in the morning is like chase a cheetah, well, that's not me. This actually is just pretty fine for me. But you know, the eye autofocus, you know, does require a faster focusing lens, and this is not that lens. So when it comes to big shapes, moving by is fine, but when it comes to something really tiny, especially at a distance like an eye, you can see how the lens struggles a little bit. Another thing that I noticed is that, and I own, you know, modern Sony lenses, is that you can feel the motors moving in this body. And at times I'm like, what is that noise? It was coming from the lens. So once again, modern cameras don't make that noise anymore. This one reminded me cameras from, once again, 10 years ago, which is the time that this lens was designed, or even more, right? But the overall experience is actually good, and it is as good as the RX1R II, which I think is the camera to get if you want to get something about this, right? You have some other cameras, you have your main cameras, and you want something small. The RX1R II is going to be a great camera. And when it comes to battery life, I feel that the battery life of this camera, even though it has the NPF-Z50, which is about twice the capacity of the Mark II, because this camera uses those brand new autofocus AI thingies, probably drains more battery. And I find that the battery life on this camera with a full battery is almost identical to the Mark II. No one has talked about that. Oh, look at that. That's good. Yeah, see, like big shapes, contrast, this lens has no problem even at night. So what do I really feel about this camera? I think that when I bought this camera, I exactly knew what I was getting. I was getting something slightly refined from the Mark II. I knew that the specs were about the same. I knew that this is not a camera that anybody will pick up for video. And we gotta stop right here, because if that's your, you know, what you're looking for, this is not the camera for you, nor the Mark II, nor the Mark I, because these cameras don't have image stabilization, not even optical. You do have the active image stabilization in video, but video specs, they cap up to 30p, and when you actually engage on the active image stabilization, the camera crops too much. It gives you kind of like the equivalent to 50 millimeters or 55, and we are talking about a 35 millimeter lens, so down the focal length that this camera was designed to be. Now the touch autofocus is good, as you can see. Boom, 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 color, 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 color. Oh, one thing that we got to talk about, colors. Oh my God, the colors are really good. I think that Sony has vastly improved colors. And again, I've seen the color on the monitor here on the camera, which are JPEGs, and Sony has new film simulations. They're pretty good. I used the natural one, I believe it was, but the colors are really good. No longer we have that green shift that we used to have on prior versions, so it's really good. So much more in line with modern Sony cameras. Now let's see these photos that we have taken here. Let's just put that. We're gonna zoom in. Oh. And everything is in absolute focus. And again, low light. You know, look at the contrast. And the noise. By the way, there's a video coming up. So guys, right now you're seeing something on the iPhone being filmed right now with the microphone here and on the screen, but the video is coming up. So we've been shooting a lot today, and a lot of the images that we've been shooting are going to be in the video. So I want to wrap it up because I don't want to spoil the video. So should you actually go and spend $5,100 in this camera? Well, watch my video. All right, guys, I'll see you later.